Hi, can you hear me?
Hi, yes. Uh, is it okay if we have you open your camera too?
Am I? Oh, camera not open. Sorry. Okay.
Okay. So just so that you know, the meeting will be recorded, and you're okay with that,
Okay.
right?
Yeah,
Yeah.
no problem.
Okay. So good evening, Mr. Michael. Thank you for taking the
Good.
time to meet with us and participate in our interview today. So we're group 11 from Sunway University, and we just want to have this quick interview with you. And just a quick introduction. My name is Rachel. These are my group mates, Yu, Charmaine, Shooting, and Chayman. So Alfred unfortunately cannot join us today because his there's a clash with his academic schedule,
Mm.
and we'll begin the session whenever you're ready.
Yeah. So thank
Okay.
you for inviting me.
Yeah. So I'll pass it to you now to start with the first few core questions.
Okay.
Mm. Can you guys hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Hi, Mr. Michael. I am Yi, and I'll be conducting the first part of your interview. So, to begin, I'd like to learn more about your professional background and leadership experience in the hospitality industry. Could you please share your journey in the hospitality industry and tell us how it led you to your current leadership role?
Okay. I actually graduated. My background is actually economics and finance. But when I first graduated, I was willing to take on anything that comes along my way. So I actually became a reporter. So I actually worked 2 years as a reporter, and then I actually started writing about golf, right? Through my writing in golf, and then I was eventually offered a job in a golf resort, right? From which is a development here in Sabah. And that I would say that is how I first got involved in the hospitality industry. From then on, I worked in a few other resorts in Sabah. And then I actually, after a while, I had the opportunity to start my own business. I actually started a golf management company where we help with pre-opening consultancy. So we work in Sarawak, in Miri, so to open new resorts lah or new golf courses. So after getting involved in the hospitality, I found that, you know, um, eventually I started my own company after the golf consultancy. The golf industry became more saturated. So when it became too saturated, I decided to venture out again. But still in the hospitality industry, I started a travel company. So when I started a travel company, we do tours. We do tours. So we handle a lot of tours going climbing the mountain, playing golf, doing other nature tours and all that. So after for almost 10, 15 years in the tour industry, I realized that, we are always selling other people's product. We sell other people's hotel, we sell other people's attraction, other people's facility. So I decided that, look, we must have our own product. We must have our own product. So I had a partner who had a piece of land in Kundasang, where Mount Kinabalu, the foothills of Mount Kinabalu is. So we decided that we want to start this hotel in Mount Kinabalu, where I eventually became the executive director of the management company of the hotel. So we've been running this hotel for the last 10 years in the mountain, back in 2015. Since then, we are now started with a 16-room hotel. We are now with about 60 rooms, 60. So we have a 60-room hotel now, and we are looking at expanding. By end of the year, we would have about another 40 rooms, so we would have about 100 rooms. And at the moment, our team consists of about 40 people, the staff, ranging from the sales team. We have a sales office in the KK, in Kota Kinabalu. In the hotel is actually 2 hours away from Kota Kinabalu, up in the mountain. So in the hotel, we have a team of about another 40 people, from housekeeping to front office to the kitchen. We have a restaurant and a cafe there as well. So we've been running this hotel for the last 10 years. And so we are looking at expanding. So by next year, we would have another 40 rooms. And then we are also looking at opening up another seaside resort by actually next month. Oh, so that's how I've been involved in the hospitality industry. Yeah.
You talked about your team earlier. How would you describe your leadership style when managing your team?
I would say my leadership style is very how do you say, collaborative and transformational. Collaborative what I mean was, I always get my team involved, in any decision making and in any problem solving. This is particularly applicable to me because the hotel is actually 2 hours drive away from where my office is. So a lot of the time I rely on my team to make a lot of decisions, to do a lot of problem solving. So I would say that, I am very involved. I'm very hands-on with my team. And at the same time, we have a very young team working for us. Now our average age of our staff is maybe about 23, 24. So it's a very young team. So I would like to, inspire our team of young people, and so that we are able to transform them, to set their, hopefully guide them towards their life goals. Yeah.
Okay, throughout your experience, what are some of the biggest leadership challenges you have faced while managing a hotel in a dynamic tourism environment?
Being, where our hotel is, being 2 hours away from the city, is one of the biggest challenge that we face is to first of all, find people to work, able to travel 2 hours away from the city, leaving most of their homes and all that to work with us. We are 2 hours away, and there is a lack of, entertainment, if I may say. So it's very difficult to find the right people to work with us. So as we engage a lot of these people, a lot of them are also could not stand, the working environment, in a sense that we are very far away, lack of entertainment, away from the family. So a lot of them do not last as well. So staff turnover, I would say, is probably the most challenging aspect. Yeah.
Thank you for sharing your insights. That concludes my section of the interview. I'll now hand over to Charmaine to continue.
Hi, I'm Charmaine.
Hi.
I'll continue with the next few questions. Yeah. So I'll start off with, how do you ensure your team stays motivated and maintain their service quality during the high pressure period?
Okay. I think the first of all, I think you have to, how do you say, I think the physical presence is always very important. Even though I'm very far away, but during the critical period, like during the peak season, the holiday season, I always make it a point to be there with my staff, even though I don't get very much involved operationally. I think being present to show support is very important. You know, sometimes, you know, the staff, being a very young team, to know that, you know, your superior is next to you, um, is always very comforting to know that if there is any crisis, there is always someone that you can refer to. And of course, you have to be very supportive. You know, you have to share. You have to have a very clear vision. You know, and share with your staff that they must share the same vision as you, so that they feel motivated as well. You know, during if there is any crisis, we are always there together to face it, instead of, you know, you have a problem, you didn't do your job well, you sort it out, you know, instead of, you know, looking at the problems, we should do the problem solving. But I always do get the staff involved as well. The staff would go and, you know, still have to confront the issue and handle it, even though I'm there supporting them, maybe guide them along. So I think that is very important. Yeah. In terms of motivation, of course, you know, like I said, it's very difficult to find people to work with us so far away, standing the cold weather. Their welfare, well-being is also very important. For us, we provide them with accommodation, duty meals, and of course, in the end of the day, there are also the financial incentive as well. You know, in our case, we actually started the staff incentive, where we share a percentage of our daily sales that we distribute to the staff on a monthly basis. So that is like an additional incentive financially. If it's busy, business is good, you get more. If business is no good, so everyone, you know, feels they are part of it, part of the whole business. Yeah.
Thank you. And can you share a time when you had to make a difficult decision as a leader, and how did you handle that time?
I can always remember one of the biggest challenge that we ever had so far. 10 years, we have gone through a lot of challenges. You know, when we first opened in 2015, the hotel, we had the earthquake in Sabah, in the mountain. So we had to be closed. No one wants to go to the mountain because they are so afraid, right? People are so fearful. So we were closed. We were not, in fact, the access to our hotel were disrupted. We cannot access to our hotel. We have to be rescued by the bomba to get out of the hotel. And then we were closed for about 9 months. So we were out of business. But then came along, I think everybody faced the same thing, COVID, right? During the COVID, I would say it's probably the most challenging for us. As a leader, as a head of the company, we tried all kinds of means to retain our staff, right? But eventually, you know, we tried pay cut, we applied for subsidy from the government, but eventually we were in and out of business for about 2 years. You know, tourism is probably one of the most affected by COVID. You know, you cannot travel, even from KK going to Kundasang, where our hotel is, you need to get a police permit. So we were very badly affected, but eventually we have to let go of our staff, some of our staff. In fact, half of our staff were sort of terminated, but we had no choice. You know, we what we did was eventually we have to gather everybody, sit down and tell them the reality of the whole picture, and say, you know, in view of the economic sense, we have no choice, but, you know, going based on certain guidelines, there will be staff who will be terminated. right? Of course, we assure them when business is back to normal, we would re-engage back them again. But thank God, everyone accepted it. Some accepted pay cards, some were decided to go home. So yeah, I would say that is probably one of, as a superior, I think it's very difficult to terminate some staff, especially if you know that they are good staff, but you have no choice because you have no business. Financially, you cannot handle it. So to me, that is probably the most difficult time. Yeah.
That's very challenging. Okay. So, in your opinion, what do you think leadership quality are the most important for success in the hospitality industry today?
Okay, I think although the tourism or hospitality industry is very volatile, you are faced with, natural disaster, travel pattern, the change of, political situation. People may not travel to your country. Being such a volatile industry, I think, to me, what is most important thing is I think you should maintain a very clear vision, a clear vision on how you want to achieve in your company. And you just need to, how do you say, persevere. Although you need to adapt at times, I think being able to adapt is also a quality that you need to have, to constantly persevere in this industry. Because, for example, during the COVID period, even though we were allowed to open, there were a lot of SOPs, social distancing. One table of 4 now can only sit 2 person, and then you have a table, one restaurant can only accommodate half the capacity. So these are the things that we need to adapt. How do we go about? So we came out with, okay, takeaway. So we encourage people to take away their food, send to their rooms to eat. We encourage them to eat, take away to their rooms to sort of adapt to the situation. So I think to be able to adapt, to have and still have a clear vision on what you want to do. So I think that is quite important in this industry.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Michael. That is all from me. And now I'll pass it over to Shaman for the following question.
Okay.
Hello.
Hi.
So my first question for you is, how do you adjust your leadership approach when your team faces unexpected challenges, such as sudden change in tourist demand or staff shortage across departments like housekeeping and F&B?
Okay. We do get a lot of challenges, a lot of crisis situation. But a lot of the time, there will always be a lot. You realize a lot of these crises usually come about when there is a gap in expectation. Whatever you can have all your best, service standards, but it is not what the guests expect. The guests expect more, maybe for some reason, rightly or wrongly. So a lot of these crises or challenges arises because of this expectation gap, especially in a service industry, right? My best is probably not good enough. So most of the time we have to, I think the number one thing is always listen to the guest feedback, listen, and then at some point you need to acknowledge the expectation gap. Once you acknowledge the expectation gap, obviously you need to offer some kind of solution, right? For example, in our situation, we have a variety of room types, right? Sometimes people book mountain view, When they go into the room, they don't see the mountain. When they don't see the mountain, because they expect to go into the room and see the mountain, but they don't see the mountain because the lack of understanding. So we have to explain to them. They say, actually, it is mountain view, but because it is covered, because it's a rainy day or the cloud has come down, so it covers. So most of the time you have to listen, you explain to them, and then you offer them some solution if necessary. So I think in the end of the day, it's to be able to listen to them, acknowledge the expectation gap, and then you offer the solution. So I think that is the steps that I normally have to take to resolve any crisis like this.
Okay. So for the second question is, in what way do you empower your staff from different departments to find their own solutions to problems rather than relying solely on top-down instructions?
Okay, like I mentioned earlier, I am 2 hours away from where the hotel is, even though I try to, be present as much as I can, but sometimes I have other commitments in the office in KK. So it is very important that I, empower my staff, delegate my staff to make a lot of decision as well. So because I cannot be there all the time. So what I normally do is, usually when a new staff come along, I always set my vision to them so that they will share the same vision. So when they share the same vision, they always know what is my expectation, what is expected, right? And I always try to be very transparent as well. Whatever we do, so that the staff are not afraid to make mistake, to make decision, to make mistake, instead of coming down from the top and give you, you just follow this, SOP A, B, C, D, and all that. But we do encourage them to be creative, problem solving, and along the way you have to support them. Whatever decision it is, they have to confront the issue, but we have to support them whenever possible. Yeah.
Okay. So for my third question is, how do you inspire and motivate your cross-functional team to embrace new initiatives such as sustainability practices or digital tools like AI-driven pricing?
Okay. To me, I always have this motto. I always tell my staff, every day you go to work, every day is a learning process. Even though you may do the same work, same task every day, you could be cooking day in and day out, but every day is a learning process. It may not be in your department, but it could be in different department. So usually, when my first staff apply for a job, when I interview them, I must ask them one question. You must be able to multitask. Even though I may engage you, employ you in the front office, but being in the front office, you must be able to help out where necessary in housekeeping, or what do you call it, F&B. So in fact, I must say that, this is an effort that has kept us going, especially during COVID. During COVID, when we are allowed to open, as we open, we realize that suddenly 3 of our F&B staff, are tested positive. So they have to be sent for quarantine. So during that period, our housekeeping staff would come out and take the role of F&B staff, right? And at time, as we went along, housekeeping staff were tested positive. So our F&B staff will have to go and make the bed and clean the room. So in fact, that is one of the best, I would say, best effort that we have as well. recently we went on to an effort, an initiative of what do you call it? I always believe in giving back to the community and society, the local community. We have decided that we want to engage a team of deaf and dumb workers. So we have a team we have like 3 staff who cannot hear and cannot speak, right? So when I first told my existing team, I said, look, there are a few people that I want to employ, but they are deaf and dumb. The first reaction with them is, it's going to be very difficult. It's going to be more challenging for us because it's very difficult to work, very difficult to communicate. How do we make sure we do our work properly when we can't even talk to each other? As opposed to I can just shout over the counter, the other person can hear me. But obviously, you know, being a leader in an industry like this, we want to make sure that whatever success we have, we always give back to the community. So we have decided that we employ the people who are not so fortunate. Maybe they are less fortunate in that sense. The staff eventually accepted it. So we started it, and now a lot of our staff can now communicate with sign languages. So every day is a learning process, like I say. You know, you never know. You go out there today, you could be faced, you know, doing the same task every day, but eventually you learn new things. Every day is a learning process. I always tell myself, when you go out there every day is a learning process. Even for myself, I may meet someone new today. I could meet a electrical engineer, and suddenly I realize, hey, there is this incentive offered by the government that if you can save so much electricity, you get some incentive. So every day is a learning process. So I think that is how we always motivate, you know, the staff to help each other as well. Yeah.
That's great to hear that you are hiring the less fortunate to help with your company. So for the last question is, how do you communicate your vision of service excellence and ensure that every department, from front office to maintenance, feels aligned with that shared goal?
Okay. Like I said earlier on, one of the main questions that I always ask any candidate applying for a job is, you must be, how do you say? You must be able to multitask. And you must, how do you say? You must, how do you say? You must be able to change your role as you work in this company, right? So everybody realized that, you know, the company, especially in the service industry like this, it doesn't rely on just people selling rooms. You know, you can sell all the rooms you want. If the housekeeping doesn't work well, you're gonna get negative feedback, right? If the guy who checked in today goes to your restaurant to eat and the food is no good, they're gonna leave the place unhappy, right? So the whole process, everybody have a role in the company. So in the end of the day, we realize that, look, you cannot succeed by your own department. So everybody has a role to play in the company. So they realize that. So that's why we have to instill the attitude or the concept that you must be able to switch your role. Today I am in the kitchen, but I will help out the housekeeping whenever there's a demand in the room, the switch over, you know, people checking and check out. So these are the attitude that you must instill in the staff, so they would understand that, look, we share the same vision, which is to do well. So we get more incentive, business is good, but everybody plays a role. No one would stick to their own department and say, look, that is not my department, you know, let them handle it. That is their problem.
Oh, so that would be all for today. Thank you so much for your time and answering our questions.
Okay,
Thank you.
thank you. Okay, thank you for having me. I wish you all the best. Yeah. If
Thank
there's anything you
you.
need, just let us know. Just let me know. Yeah.
All
Okay.
right.
All right. Thank you.
Thank you.